9, Chapter 316. Gungji Bang carefully placed the silver in his pocket and began to speak. Here is some information about the Dragon Phoenix Escort Agency. The Dragon Phoenix Escort Agency? Isn't that the one we came across on our way here? Yes. Although it's now reduced to just Shaanxi province, it used to be one of the largest escort agencies in the land. The Dragon Phoenix Escort Agency? Memories from 2 days prior surfaced in my mind. Their might was unquestionable for an escort agency. Zhu Huaran, their youthful leader and a formidable swordsman, was famed as one of the 10 dragons and phoenixes. Song Il Seom, another member, surpassed Zhu Huaran in martial prowess, including that uncle who seems like he could have written Dongui Bogum. That's 3 top-notch experts. Their strength rivaled that of a mid-tier martial arts sect, yet their current state was a shadow of their former prominence, once among the top 3 globally. What exactly happened to make it end up like this? It all started just after the death of the Escort King. The Escort King? The one I know of? There's only one Escort King in the world. The one you know. Zhu Gongsan was the previous head of the Dragon Phoenix Escort Agency. Escort King Zhu Gongsan. Though unfamiliar with his name, I knew the title well. My own journey in the martial realm had laid a solid foundation of knowledge. In the past year I've been in constant company with the Fire King Jiok Cheonggang. He was a living chronicle of our times, often lost in nostalgia. Now that I think about it, my friend, the Escort King, was quite something. He's not your friend, you know. Has it been long since you met the divine palm of fire? Please keep talking, please. Jiok Cheonggang's recounting of the Escort King's exploits that day was nothing short of awe-inspiring. It was during the height of the Great Faction War. At that time, the demonic cult had taken control of 8 provinces including Gansu, Sichuan, and Yunnan, and was advancing into the Central Plains with 100,000 demonic soldiers at the forefront. When will you get to the Escort King? Has it been long since you encountered the flame-extinguishing divine fist? Please keep talking. I will listen carefully. Anyway, the Escort King at that time was just a wandering escort. Of course, he was already called a famous escort due to his exceptional skills and heroic spirit, but with the demonic cult sweeping across the land, would the righteous martial artists have paid any attention to that? Right. Strictly speaking, an escort is more of the merchant class than the martial world. The demonic cult too needed financial resources, so instead of oppressing the escort agencies and merchant groups, they chose to co-opt them. Hence, it wasn't too strange that the Escort King was in Guangdong, a territory of the demonic cult, until he met a heavily pregnant woman. A heavily pregnant woman? In her womb was the last heir of the Jin family of Guangdong. The Jin family had fiercely resisted the demonic cult and had already been annihilated. They must have been discovered by the demonic cult quickly. The Escort King only realized the pregnant woman's origin after encountering the demonic cult's pursuit team. If he didn't hand over the woman, he would have to turn against the demonic cult. At that point, with a string of victories, the demonic cult had claimed dominion over vast territories. Guangdong, far removed from the righteous faction's lands, was a stronghold of the cult. What do you think the Escort King did? If he had handed over the woman to the demonic cult, he wouldn't have been the Escort King. Indeed, he flatly refused the demonic cult's demand, because he had already received the escort fee. In a world mired in conflict, a young escort embarked on what could have been his final task. He carried an ancient jade hairpin, the Jin family of Guangdong's payment for his services. It took him 2 years, navigating from Guangdong through Jiangxi, Hubei, and finally to Hanam, the stronghold of the Murim Alliance. The escort deftly evaded his pursuers, traversing vast distances. His path took him over mountains, across fields, and through rivers. Details of his odyssey remained shrouded in mystery, yet one fact stood clear. He had accomplished a legendary feat. Upon reaching Hanam, the Jin heir was alive and well in his mother's arms, marking the moment Zhu Gongsan ascended as the Escort King. The one god said so. He truly deserved to be called a king. No one objected. Jiok Cheonggang often recounted tales of the Escort King. Even to some men like Jiok Cheonggang, the Escort King was an extraordinary figure. I heard that after the end of the Great Faction War, he established an escort agency in his hometown in Shaanxi. I'm not sure what happened after that. Maybe I should visit someday and share a drink. Jiok Cheonggang's plans, however, never materialized. As Gung Jibang revealed, the Escort King, Zhu Gongsan, had departed from this world. The world really is small. To think the Dragon Phoenix Escort Agency that I stumbled upon just days ago was the legacy of that very Escort King. Absorbed in thought, I noticed Gung Jibang preparing to speak. Escort King Zhu Gongsan passed away not long after due to the internal injuries he sustained during the Great Faction War. It's a pity. Then who is the current head? Gentleman Sword Juho Gun. He's the only blood relative left by the Escort King and the father of Zhu Huaran. Gentleman Sword, huh? The nickname itself gives off a certain vibe. I haven't met him personally, but my master says he's a really good person. It's fascinating how a single word can alter the entire perception of a statement. Gung Jibang's master didn't say that Zhu Hogun was a good escort. He said that Zhu Hogun was a good person. I can smell the naivety. It struck me that Gentleman Sword's nature might have significantly influenced the Dragon Phoenix escort agency's current plight. Gung Jibang, reading my thoughts, affirmed with a nod. Just as you guessed. Since Zhu took over the Dragon Phoenix escort agency, his kind heart and intolerance for injustice have led to several major losses. He was never meant for this line of work. My master once said this: a chivalrous warrior cannot be a merchant. It makes sense. The essence of a noble warrior lies in disregarding profit, while a successful merchant prioritizes it above all. Though escort agencies straddle the martial and commercial worlds, they ultimately lean more towards commerce. So, 100 points as a chivalrous warrior, but 0 as a merchant? The escort king's unique fame enabled him to excel in both realms, elevating the Dragon Phoenix escort agency to its zenith. However, following his demise, Zhu Hogun, lacking mercantile instincts, floundered. When a famine struck, he would use up all the stored grain and even buy more at a higher price to distribute, take in poor or orphan children, feed and shelter them. That sounds like UNICEF. Huh? Never mind, go woon. Anyway, when more wealth flows out than in, the Dragon Phoenix escort agency inevitably started to decline. My master tried to advise him several times because of the past connections, but he wouldn't listen, said it was his policy. Wow. An admirable and noble entrepreneur, yet not particularly astute in business. Gung Jibang went on, absent-mindedly scratching his back. What can you do? Since Zhu took over the agency, it's no wonder that it shrank so much in just 30 years. 30 years? They say a rich person's wealth can last 3 generations no matter the hardship they encounter. Perhaps the escort agency could have lasted 3 generations, if only Zhu hadn't fallen into madness 2 years ago. What are you talking about? Is the Dragon Phoenix escort agency facing an era of extreme hardship or something? Considering all the misfortunes the Dragon Phoenix escort agency has faced in the past 2 years, it's fair to say so. They must have had a hard time. For a fleeting moment, the image of Jeju Hua Ran, steadfast and determined, crossed my mind. At the time, I had perceived Zhu Hua Ran as merely intelligent and attractive. Now I knew she bore a significant burden, but then, what did you mean by a fishy smell? His narrative seemed to be leading to a crucial point, but the only off-putting odor present was emanating from him. My direct inquiry prompted Chung Peng and Hyuk Mu Jin, who had been attentively listening, to chime in. That's right. I don't smell anything either. I want to smell something foul too. Young Master Gung, when was the last time you brushed your teeth? As the nearly killed and the nearly dead asked in unison, Gung Jibang grimaced. Stop nagging. Just get on with it, and open your mouth only a little. Seriously, when did you last brush your teeth? About 4 months ago. His lack of hygiene was appalling. Under the intensity of my stern gaze, Gung Jibang hurriedly divulged crucial information. So Southern Edge Sect, huh? Southern Edge Sect? According to what our branch in Xi'an found, it seems that Southern Edge Sect was deeply involved in the downfall of the Dragon Phoenix escort agency. Really, these guys are everywhere. Upon hearing Southern Edge Sect, the foulness seemed to intensify, likely exacerbated by Gung Jibang's wide-open mouth. Yet, given my encounters with Southern Edge Sect members, this was more than mere speculation. It was likely the truth. They want to swallow the Dragon Phoenix escort agency whole, something like that? Swallow whole? Is it tasty? Young Master Chong, could you please be quiet? Yes, my savior. Unfazed, Gung Jibang continued as if such interruptions were commonplace. It's highly likely. Although Southern Edge Sect operates their own escort agencies, they can't compare to the influence that the Dragon Phoenix escort agency has in Shanxi. From Southern Edge Sect's perspective, they are like a thorn in the side, along with manwha Sect. So they started crumbling it down gradually 2 years ago? Miss Zhu Hua Ran is certainly a talented individual, but she's too inexperienced. Like her father, her kindness is also a weakness. That's bullshit. Well, from what I've heard, Jeju Hua Ran is only 21 years old. Organizing all she had learned was daunting enough, but applying it in real-world scenarios while helming a major escort agency was an even more formidable challenge for Zhu Hua Ran, especially with the Southern Edge Sect meddling from behind. Even though the Southern Edge Sect might be under the manwha Sect, the Southern Edge Sect's affiliation with the 9 great sects lent them significant clout. Without the escort king's leadership, the Dragon Phoenix escort agency seemed ill-equipped to withstand the Southern Edge Sect's pressure. Little by little, it would be nibbled away until it finally collapsed. How widely known is this information? It's top-secret intelligence shared by the head of our branch in Xi'an. Top secret, huh? So even manwha Sect might not know about it? Well, they might know, or they might not. Even if they do know, they might choose to ignore it. Ignore it? What do you mean? Gungji Bang paused, exhaling deeply before responding. Because they're all part of the 9 great sects. What? Baek Mu Song of the first crane of manwha is a man of integrity. Swords Saint Mei Zhong Hak and Chong Peng here are clear as a stream. But remember, it's foolish to judge everything based on one aspect. His statement resonated with me. After all, I was merely a transient figure in this narrative, planning to discreetly pass this intelligence to Baek Mu Song. Because he's a good person, I know. And he was the future leader of the manwha sect. But I was wrong. The future is just the future, not the present. Once more, the complexity of the martial world dawned on me. Even in the ostensibly straightforward realm of swordsmanship, intricate norms and hierarchies prevail. The arm can only bend inward, is that it? Lost in thought, I noticed Gungji Bang's inquiring gaze. What are you going to do? What can I do? Are you thinking of stepping in yourself? Me? I pondered for a moment but then shook my head. My encounter with the Dragon Phoenix escort agency was just a fleeting coincidence. I have my own tasks to accomplish. If I happen to meet them before I leave, I might give them a hint, but that's as far as it goes. With Jeokjeon Gangdown, getting entangled with the Southern Edge sect would complicate matters. For some reason the face of Zhuhua Ran suddenly popped into my mind, and I shook my head to dismiss the thought.